All right, so this is my new Brewzilla, newish. Bought it in March, I think. Anyway, it's worked great. The major issue I do have with it is that the controls are on the bottom here. Now, if you own a Grandfather or have seen one, the controls are up here and the screen faces up. So you can see what's going on. On the Brewzilla, to program it, to change it, because you can't do it from your phone like the Grandfather, of course you've paid a third of the price, is you need to get down on your hands and knees if the unit is on the floor, which is most convenient from a brewing perspective. So today's project is to move the controls to somewhere where they are more convenient. Now, there's another video on YouTube, and the guy did this, and he was the inspiration for how I'm going to go about this, and I'll try to put a link down below to his video. The major difference is that he put another pipe that came up and is affixed to the kettle. What I want to do is make it so that I can put the control unit in an enclosure and have it wherever I want, and have it detachable if I need to. So, all right, let's give that a try. So this is the bottom of the Brewzilla, or the control. So there's our control panel interface, and the circuit board is actually under here. And you need to remove. This is generation 3.1.1 for those interested. So the screws are here, here, and here, and I believe that these three actually hold, I think, the circuit board on, and then the pump is down here. I've had this apart before when I've had the pump clogged and had to get at it. I've considered moving the pump outside the unit for those instances, but it hasn't jammed on me since, so I'm going to leave that alone for now. So let's remove these and then see what we have. Alright, so we've removed the bottom here, and as we can see, there is the control board there, and that is the display, and all that's connecting it is this ribbon cable right here. And as you can see, all those wires are individually marked, which should make this a much easier experience since we have to cut this. I think what we'll do is remove the control board, back this off completely, and go from there. A better shot of the controls would be in here inside this brain box. This is basically where AC comes in. I've got rectifier because we've got 5-volt going out for controls. This is where the cable connected, right there. Everything's actually labeled as to what it is, and this is just a little, this just comes off. You just pop this tab, pull out the cable. In the other video, he cut this and simply just extended the wires up through a piece of pipe up to the side. We're going to try and do a slightly more modular approach. So the plan is to use Cat 5 patch cable. So we're going to try and terminate this ribbon cable in each end into a keystone for Cat 5 cable, one of these. And so we just have to make sure that we keep track of what wire goes where on the cable. Make sure it's the same on both ends. These come in two standards. There's A and B. So first things first, we will mark down what each of these, well, first of all, let's do a count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 8. So this has 8 wires, which is exactly what's in the category 5 cable. So we should be good to use a patch cable. Alright, so I'll mark these down, and we will match them up with the colors. We'll use B on both ends. And once we've got that done, we will cut the ribbon, strip it back, and hopefully what's in there will punch down into here. If not, we'll have to solder a small piece of category cable and then punch that down into here. Let's hope we don't have to do that. Okay, so just removing the control panel. I'm not sure how this comes out. So the only thing I can see is these 6 screws. So I've backed these off, and we'll see what comes of it here. Right, so yep, that does it. Just these 6 screws. As soon as they pop off, this was just holding this on. It was just a compression between these 2 pieces and here. So that came right off. So now we go to the point of no return and start cutting wires. I'll be back. Okay, just to keep things straight, I've going with B on these keystones, and what I've done is I've mapped out the wire. So each of these wires has a different marking, and I've mapped that out to a corresponding spot on the jack of the keystone. So we just have to make sure we patch in the same order on both ends, and we should be good. Let's see how it goes. Well, this is it. The point of no return. Alright, now to strip these out and punch them down. Alright, so I've managed to take this and punch it down to this standard Cat 5E jack. And it's not going to work. These wires are not sized to work, and I did some continuity tests, and some of the connections worked and some of them did not. I'll get the punch down on both sides. So we are going to recut these wires, and I think what we're going to do is solder some category cable onto the end of these so we can punch them. I could cut it. All right, first harness is done. So this is the end the control plugs into the relay and power board, the bottom of the Brewzilla. What I've done is taken that clip, and rather than trying to punch those wires directly down into one of these, which we know doesn't work, we've soldered everything, used heat shrink, and now have Cat 5e cable, which should punch down just fine into the keystones. Okay, so this connector is now wired to some Cat 6 solid core just cable to this keystone in the B configuration, and same with the control board is now wired to that in the B configuration. I hope. Yes. I've double checked it. Triple checked it. Fingers crossed. And we followed our guide. So hopefully everything lines up. Really the main ones we want to worry about is the 5 volt on the ground, because I would imagine this doesn't have reverse polarity protection on it, so we don't want the magic smoke to come out of this. Everything is connected, and one thing you will want to do, one thing I'm glad I did, is test everything once all the cables are together, and make sure that you have continuity. So use your multimeter and then test here and the corresponding pin on the circuit board. I actually found I had one loose wire, which would have been problemsome had I not picked it up when I was doing the troubleshooting. So definitely worth the time to do continuity tests between the pin here that goes into the relay board, the power board, and the controller right here. So highly recommend doing that before you plug everything in and turn it on. All right, so I was trying to figure out how to mount the control unit, or at least have it out of harm's way with the back box. You could conceivably just have this loose and have a plug. But knowing me, it's going to get knocked and fall on the floor, so I wanted it protected. So I had this project box left over from something else, so simply velcroed this to the back plane, installed the data jack in this outlet box, so when it comes to brew day, to connect up the unit, there it is. Then this can sit where it needs to, on the wall or wherever I want it to be, and my Brewzilla can be on the floor where it needs to be. Next item on the agenda is going to be dealing with this. So I've got a patch set up, but also the cable, how I'm going to connect my control panel cable to the power board there. Rather than having a cable just hanging out with a jack that's susceptible to water damage, I actually have this weatherproof connection for RJ45 I pulled out of some old piece of electronics that was going into the garbage. I can plug in there, and I think I'll have that sitting here. Just drill a hole. There's a gasket there that'll keep that water tight. That would be exposed during the brew, but during wash up and cleanup there is a cap that could go on. Just disconnect the cable, put the cap on. That would protect the outlet during cleanup. See how that works. Now we've skipped a bit here, but filling in this hole, I just happened to have some stainless sheet, so I formed it, drilled some holes, and for fastening, I decided to go with rivets because that's what I had. Didn't have any stainless fasteners that were going to work, that were short enough, so that's the way it's going. There's the view from the inside, right there. Wrap that in just a bit of this weatherproof tape, just where it's going to be underneath. I don't know if I need to or not, but there it is. Time to start putting her all back together. Saying this is in. The weatherproof connector is on. There it is. So now I could put Cat 5 cable in here and use this to connect it, and it would seal it up. I wanted to leave the cable on all the time. So the one thing I'm not sure about is what would happen if I powered the unit up without the controller connected. Not sure about that. I guess we'll find out. Everything stuffed inside, ready to put the bottom back on and test her out. Try to keep any severe bends from the Cat 5 wire because it is solid and could be prone to breakage. So try to keep any sharp bends from occurring in there. Alright, well, let's see how it goes together and works. Okay, so she's back together. Everything, I think, is connected at the bottom. Alright, let's see what happens. See what happens. Alright, connect our Cat 5. And we're connected there. All right. Plug her in and see what happens. Oh. Well, there we go. Well, let's recap. So, we wanted to move the control unit off of the kettle itself, so I wasn't on my hands and knees programming and looking at temperatures, while being able to have the brew kettle on the floor where it's most convenient, but having the controller where it's more convenient. And by using patch cables, I can actually locate this unit wherever I like by just varying the length of the category cable. Well, nothing left to do but make some beer. Thanks for watching.